Hello, my name is Matthias and welcome to the FPL Scope. Today we are doing the weekly wildcard draft for gameweek 5, and if you don't know, this is something that I do every week, and that's basically where I choose what I think is the best squad to have in Fantasy Premier League going forward in the next 4 to 5 game weeks and beyond. So yeah, we can just go straight into it really, but before we do, I'm just going to tell you the order that I do this in. I don't do the usual like goalkeepers and defenders and midfielders forwards type of thing that most content creators do. I do it a different way, and that is selecting players from number 1 until number 15. So the number 1 player will be the player that is the most important player to have in FPL currently, and then the 15th player will be the player that I'm the most unsure about having in this wildcard squad. So yeah, you'll see as we go along. But first pick is, as always, Haaland. Really no reason to change it. He scored a hat-trick last time around. He might score a hat-trick again in place of West Ham. I still think, for what it's worth, I still think he's the best captaincy option as well, but we're going to touch on 2 other captaincy options at least. Potentially even 3 potential captaincy options in this squad, because I have a lot of players that are pretty good this game week. But yeah, I think Haaland still is the best captain. He is the safest captain to have. Everyone's going to captain him mostly. Some players will go for other captains, but I still think Haaland can score goals against anyone, really. I know I didn't captain him myself in Game Week 2 against Newcastle, because Newcastle have been really good historically defensively, and I felt like I had a better captain. So yeah, I'm not entirely opposed to captaining someone else, but I still think Haaland is the best captaincy pick, and I'm pretty sure I'm going to end up with Haaland as captain this game week. But either way, great fixtures. He is an FPL machine. He scores goals all the time. No real reason to think about having Haaland in your squad, because yeah, he's still amazing. Number 2, I actually have Mbeumo this time around. He was number 6 pick last week, but he has jumped up all the way to number 2, and that's pretty much because he's always like a given in every single wildcard squad that I do. For every single game week so far, game week 1 until game week 5, I had him in my squad, and there's a good reason for that, because he's a really good player. Like, he's the focal point and talisman for Brentford. He's both the guy that finishes chances and creates chances for Brentford, and Brentford are really good and can score goals against everyone, really, and they're creating a lot of chances. And Mbeumo is the main man, and he's on penalties, he's on set pieces. There's really no reason to dislike Mbeumo, even with the tough fixture against Newcastle away, which I just talked about with Haaland, is a tough fixture for sure. But Brentford have also shown that even in tougher fixtures, when they don't have much possession, they can get a lot of points in FPL. So yeah, I don't mind starting Mbeumo at all this game week. Some people might want to bench him, but I still think he is a really good option to start as well. So it would have to be a really good squad for me to not start Mbeumo this game week. And after that, Everton at home, Nottingham Forest away, Man United as well as a team that you can score against, especially Brentford, as he scored 4 goals against them last season in one of the opening games. So yeah, Mbeumo, in terms of just minutes, being on everything, being the main man for his team, he's just a simple pick really in any FPL squad at the moment. Yeah, you could potentially hold off on buying him if you don't have him in your squad for this game week because he plays Newcastle, but I think he should be in everyone's squad, and I'm probably going to keep him for the foreseeable future as well, even when their fixtures turn a bit tougher, because I still think Brentford are a really good team, and Mbeumo is their best player. So yeah, that's pretty much that. Third pick is a new guy, and that is Heung-min Son. He obviously was not in last week's, or 2 weeks ago I did the weekly wildcard draft. You can see August 30th there. It's the previous wildcard draft I did for Game Week 4. And yeah, I wish I had the foresight to see that Son was going to be a really good player, but basically what happened, as we all know, he started playing as a striker last game, and he scored a hat-trick. So yeah, if he continues playing as a striker, and I think he's going to, he's just going to be really good value. And like with Mbeumo and Haaland for that matter, he's also a player that could score against pretty much everyone. So away against Arsenal, he can score in that game. At home to Liverpool, he can definitely score in that game. And then Sheffield United and Luton, he can also score in those games. So I think he's just like a really good pick, especially if he's going to keep playing striker. We might see Richarlison as striker some more, but I think Son is the best option there. He's potentially on pens as well. I think he's going to be on pens for Spurs, personally. And yeah, he's just a really good player, and everyone is looking to get him this game week, and for good reason. I think you should look into getting him as well if you have the money for it. Next up, number 4, we have another mainstay in the weekly wildcard draft, another player that I'm looking to keep for the entirety of the season pretty much, and that is Pervis Estupiñán. And he showed last game, even though he got 2 points only, Brighton showed that they can keep a clean sheet against anyone. They conceded a goal really late because of Callum Wilson being a really good striker, but even against Newcastle, which was a really tough fixture for them. They basically bossed the match and had Newcastle beat for most of the match and had a clean sheet for most of the match as well. And Estupiñán was still bombing forward, trying to get goals and assists, even when they're up 3-0. So he's always a threat for goals and assists, and he could potentially get clean sheets as well. And he's like, if you want a defender who could get like 15, 18, 20 plus points, he's pretty much the one to go for. And I think even with the tough fixtures, I think you should just play him every single game week, because he showed last season, even against Arsenal, when Arsenal were in the title hunt, he scored 18 points, I think, against them, with a goal and an assist against them and 3 bonus points and a clean sheet. So he can do that against anyone. So I would never bench Estupiñán, and I would certainly not sell Estupiñán for sure. Next up, we have another really good wingback, and that is Destiny Udogie. And as we've seen with the Spurs, they have really good fixtures, and they've actually been one of the best defensive teams so far as well, which is kind of surprising. But the main reason we want Udogie is because he can get attacking returns. He's already shown that with 2 assists in a row now, I think. And with Sheffield United coming up, he's a really good candidate for someone you can bring into your team, especially if you want to downgrade defender. If you have Luke Shaw, for example, still, or if you have Gabriel Magalhaes still, Udogie is basically the perfect replacement if you don't have him already. So I think Udogie and Estupiñán are going to be in my team for pretty much the whole season, and that's why they are such high picks in this weekly wildcard draft. Next up, we have another Spurs player. We are tripling up on Tottenham, and that is James Maddison. I actually think, I was going to talk about the captaincy options other than Haaland, and Son is definitely one of them, but I actually think Maddison is an even better captaincy option against Sheffield United specifically, because I think players like Maddison and Bruno Fernandes, I'm actually going to have a video on this, speaking about how like talisman players, like the players that are on set pieces and are pretty much involved in every attack, those types of players thrive when they have really easy opposition to play against, where they're going to dominate possession and be in attack all the time. That's pretty much where they're going to get most of their points. So playing against a team like Sheffield United, who are going to be playing in a low block, I think it's going to be more difficult for Son to score. And Maddison is going to be more involved and have set pieces and all that type of stuff. So I think Maddison is a better pick as a captaincy option for this game week against Sheffield United. But obviously, I also think Haaland is probably the safer pick, because you never really know with Spurs. And the difference between Haaland and Maddison as well is that Maddison is usually he doesn't really get that many points. I know he had that 18-point game or something last season against Nottingham Forest, I think, for Leicester. But that's really rare for Maddison. He's more the type of player to tick along with like 7 to 10 points just about. So doesn't have the highest ceiling as a captain, I feel like. And that's why I kind of prefer Haaland still. Because, I think that game week where Maddison got the 18 points against Nottingham Forest, I think that's the same game week where Haaland scored a hat-trick and had 2 assists against Man United. So I think Haaland has just a higher ceiling, so that's why I prefer him as a captain's option. But I think Maddison is just an outstanding pick regardless. He's shown that he is going to be involved in pretty much everything Spurs does offensively, and they are a really attacking side, and they are playing really well at the moment. So with games against the likes of Sheffield United and Luton especially, I think Maddison is a good pick. I don't think he's going to be as good against Arsenal and Liverpool as someone like Heung-min Son, but I think he's still going to be a decent pick who might get an assist or a goal in even those matches. But I think he's just in general a really good player to have in your squad, and I think Spurs are a team to target currently because their prices are pretty low compared to what they have been previously, and they do have pretty good matches, and they do have a pretty good season, it looks like, so far as well. Number 7, we have Mo Salah. He's back in the squad. I removed him last weekly wildcard draft, and he rewarded or punished me, I guess, with 8 points. I do have him in my own squad still as well. So, I think Salah. The thing with Salah is that if you're actually using your wildcard this game week, we're getting pretty close to game week 9, which is where everyone pretty much is going to try to get Salah, whether that's on a wildcard or if it's through other means. And it's really difficult to get Salah if you don't have him already. So I think, especially with the matches that he has against Wolverhampton and West Ham in particular in the next 2 game weeks, and Brighton as well, which is a team that concedes a lot of goals. Spurs is a team that is pretty offensive-minded now with Postecoglou. I think the fixtures are really good for Salah now, and especially the reason where you need him for game week 9 and beyond. I think if you're wildcarding now, I probably just would have Salah just for the sake of it. But there is a lot of money to be saved if you don't have Salah. I'm going to talk a bit about the players that have dropped out from last game week at the end of this video. But I think Salah, he has consistently gotten points this season. He still hasn't gotten that major haul. And that might happen actually next game against Wolverhampton. I think Wolverhampton is there for the taking. That's a team that you can target and you can score a lot of goals against. So I think Salah is potentially the only captaincy differential option I would potentially pick other than Haaland. I probably would, even though I kind of like Maddison against Sheffield United because he's going to be really involved. I think Salah and Haaland have a higher ceiling, like I said previously. Salah could definitely explode and have like 20 points against Wolverhampton. I could definitely see that happening. So maybe if I get really brave, I'll captain Salah. But I think if you have Salah, he's going to be a differential on his own either way. So you don't really need to captain him, especially if you want to play it a bit safe. You can go with Haaland as captain and just have Salah get his points, and you'll get those points either way, really. So you could go all or nothing with Salah as captain, but I think I still prefer Haaland as captain. But Salah, for sure, I think he is the second best player to have this game week in terms of in this particular game week especially. But he is pretty expensive, so maybe if you don't really like the fixtures against Spurs and Brighton in particular, maybe you should stay away from Salah and have a cheaper option. Maybe potentially someone like Darwin Núñez, who's looking to play more now, but Darwin is not in the squad, sadly. But Salah is, I think Liverpool are going to be really good this season. It seems like they are on a really good trajectory. They also got Ryan Gravenberch now in as well into their squad, so their squad is looking stronger. They still haven't lost this season, looking better and better as a team. So yeah, Salah just seems like a really good pick, and especially for this game against Wolverhampton. Next up, we have another new midfielder, and that is Moussa Diaby. It's so difficult to choose midfielders, so I'm going to talk about the 3 midfielders that dropped out at the end of this video. But I think Diaby is kind of the same as with Salah. He's getting close to that point of the season where he has really good fixtures, and as you can see from the next 4 fixtures, he has some really enticing fixtures straight away now. Crystal Palace at home is a good fixture. Chelsea as well. Should probably not even be marked as a red fixture, as like one of the difficult fixtures, because Chelsea have been kind of shaky so far. I can definitely see Diaby score a couple goals there. And then it's Brighton who keep conceding goals. I know I said with Estupiñán that they could get clean sheets in pretty much any game. But at the same time, they could also concede 3 goals in pretty much any game. So yeah, I think Diaby has really good fixtures, and especially from game week 9 onwards, he's going to be not essential, but he's going to be like one of the really popular picks to have in FPL. So I think if you're on a wildcard, you could definitely just get him in and just ride the decent fixtures now, and then have him without having to transfer him in for like game week 9 and beyond when he has really good fixtures. So yeah, been really impressed with Diaby and Aston Villa in general. I think Diaby is by far the best pick from Aston Villa as well. I think he's better than Watkins. Watkins hasn't been as involved this season as he was last season. So I think Diaby is just a better pick. He's cheaper. He seems like a better like counter player as well. Watkins is actually not that good when Villa don't have that much possession, and I think it's kind of the opposite with Diaby. I think Diaby can score easily in games where Aston Villa are kind of being pushed back a little bit, like against Chelsea away and Brighton at home. Those are the types of games where Diaby could easily punish them on the counter because they're not the best defensively, and yeah, they're going to be trying to charge at Aston Villa and try to win the game like that. But yeah, Diaby is the final midfielder for a reason, because there are a lot of other good midfield candidates, but I'll talk about them at the end of the video, like I said. Next up, we have our second striker, and I've actually gone with Carlton Morris, mostly because, well, firstly, I don't really have any other good forward alternatives. Like, there are some other interesting players. We have Evan Ferguson, who scored a hat-trick last time around. I think he's going to be really good, even though Brighton don't have the best fixtures, but you can easily wait throughout the Man United fixture and see if he's actually a viable pick. And at the same time, he's also had a slight injury during the international break, so until we know that he's fully fit, he's also kind of an unsure player. Julian Alvarez is someone that I have in my own team, and he's also someone that I would really like to have in this team as well, but it's just the fact that I don't think he's going to start this game week, because he plays in Bolivia now, Tuesday night, which is really high altitude. It's a really like tough game to play, and then he's going to travel to England and have not too much time to like get back into fitness again for Man City's game on Saturday. So I think Alvarez could potentially be dropped, but if Alvarez is starting, if we get news on Saturday that Alvarez is starting, then maybe I would change my wildcard draft to have him rather than Morris, because it's not that much between them in price. But yeah, when it comes to Morris, the double game week is obviously the reason why you want to have him, but at the same time, he also has really good fixtures against Fulham and Wolves in the next 2 game weeks as well. As you can see, we have a full midfield as well, so you could easily play a 3-5-2 formation. and have Morris as your second striker, but you could also play with a 4-5-1 formation as well, and have Morris on the bench if you don't really like him against Fulham and Wolves, and just have him saved up for the double game week against Everton and Burnley. Two really good fixtures, by the way. But yeah, Morris is on penalties. He is like the main man for Luton as well. He scored a goal already in the Premier League. He's looked pretty dangerous. He's a pretty good player. So yeah, for that cheap price in the double game week, I think he is a decent option to have as like your final attacker, really. Because I think all the midfielders you can play in pretty much every game. Even Maddison against like the tougher fixtures, I still think he can get some points there. So yeah, Morris is someone that you can just see how he does against Fulham and think about whether you want to keep him in your team or not for the match against Wolves, and then you'll play him definitely in the double game week because that's why we really have him in the squad. Next up, we have Ben Chilwell, who has seen a pretty significant drop since last time. He conceded a goal last time around as well. Got subbed off once again around the 60th minute mark. Sometimes that's a good thing if you get subbed off when they're on a clean sheet, but it seems like Chilwell is more susceptible to be subbed off when Chelsea need to get something new offensively, because Chilwell is basically playing as a winger, and that's why he's been such a highly coveted player so far in FPL. But that also means that he's going to be susceptible to be subbed out. And at the same time, there are some Chelsea fans that really want Chilwell dropped, whether that's as a winger, drop him down as a left back again, or just entirely drop him out of the team. So I don't think Pochettino is going to do that straight away, but I think it's something looming there, maybe, because Chelsea played with a back four throughout the whole of preseason. Chilwell was still pretty offensive as like one of the back four players back then as well, but yeah, I'm not 100% sure about his playing time and stuff going forward, especially when he's getting subbed off so early. That's why I'm kind of hesitant with Chilwell. But other than that, they have really good fixtures. He's super attacking. He's been really unlucky not to get more points, really. I know Malo Gusto got the 2 assists in one of the game weeks. I think it was game week 2. But Chilwell actually had better numbers, underlying stats in that game as well. So yeah, I think Chilwell has been kind of unlucky so far. He had that goal against Liverpool disallowed as well for a slight offside. So I think Chilwell, as long as he plays, he's going to be a good pick. But at the same time, Chelsea haven't looked the best lately. And yeah, his position is kind of under threat with Colwell sometimes playing as a left back potentially, and Chilwell potentially dropping out of the team. So yeah, Chilwell still really good value if he plays, but I'm a little bit unsure about his future in the team. So that's why he has dropped down a couple notches in this weekly wildcard draft. Next up, we have another wingback slash, I guess we say winger back now, because they are sort of like used to be fullbacks and then wingbacks, and now they're basically playing on the wing, and that's the same with Cash as well. We've seen Unai Emery's comments about how Matty Cash playing as a winger is really beneficial for Aston Villa, because they play in a kind of a different, interesting system. And I think it's really interesting with the defenders in FPL this season. As you can see, all 4 defenders that I have currently are really attacking, because they play really far up the pitch. And I think that's pretty much a cheat code so far in FPL, assuming that they continue playing there as well. That's the other reason with Cash as well. He's sort of the same as Chilwell. While Estupiñán and Udogie are nailed and going to play every single game, going to be attacking every single game, you don't really know about Chilwell and Cash. They might drop down as like a proper fullback, or they might drop out of the team entirely. The thing with Cash is that we don't really know what's going to happen when Moreno comes back into the side and plays at left back. But I think even if that happens, I think Cash could just play as a regular right back, because they don't really have any good right backs. They have Konsa who play there, but they don't really have that many centre backs anymore either. They have Langley now on loan, but I still think Cash is going to play most of the matches for Aston Villa this season. And most of those matches that he's going to play as a winger as well, because I think Lucas Digne has been really good for Aston Villa. So I know Moreno is a really good player, and he's also someone that I could potentially look to bring in eventually, but I think Digne has looked really good this season, and it would be kind of harsh to just drop him entirely now that Moreno is back in full training. But yeah, even with Moreno playing, I still think Cash could be quite offensive. We don't really know. Maybe Moreno is the more defensive fullback, and Cash is still going to bomb forward and get chances. But yeah, as long as Cash is playing regularly and playing especially so far up, he's a really good pick, especially with Aston Villa's fixtures becoming better and better eventually. Next up, we have our first goalkeeper, and this is actually our backup goalkeeper, Areola. But the reason that our backup goalkeeper is picked ahead of our number 1 goalkeeper, who's going to start most matches, is the fact that I'm more sure about my backup goalkeeper than I am sure about my starting goalkeeper. Because there aren't really any good starting goalkeepers. And yeah, there is a case to be made that maybe Areola should be your starting goalkeeper, because he has among the highest points tallies so far in this season in FPL. But yeah, as you can see, fixtures against Man City at home and Liverpool away, it's not ideal to have Areola right now, but seeing as he's only 4.1 in price, and West Ham have shown to be a pretty good defensive side so far. And the other thing with West Ham is that they make the other team take pretty like low value shots where it's pretty easy to get saves and stuff. So Areola has saved the penalty already. He's getting a lot of saves. He's a really good goalkeeper. He's had some outstanding saves this season as well. He's been playing really well for West Ham, and it seems like his position is no longer really under threat. I don't think, even if it does a mistake, I still think he's going to start ahead of Fabianski. So yeah, I think Areola is just like a safe backup option to have. And if you want to really skimp on the goalkeepers, you could pick Areola and Turner and just like go with the cheapest possible goalkeepers. But at the moment, I have a starting goalkeeper I'm going to talk about pretty soon. But I'm more sure about Areola than I am sure about the starting goalkeeper that I have. So yeah, we'll talk about him pretty soon. But before we go to the starting goalkeeper, we have a final attacker. That is Cameron Archer. He started his first game for Sheffield United against Everton last time around. He got 12 points, 1 goal, 1 assist. Already shown that he's a good player. He can score on the counter. And for only 4.5, I think he's still 4.5 as of this recording. He's also just like a no-brainer, like final attacking pick, because yeah, you can have him on your bench pretty much every game week if you want to. You can play him if you're in need, especially in the games against West Ham and Fulham. He could potentially be a good player, especially against Fulham. But yeah, he's also just like a nice, safe bench option for the cheapest possible price. So yeah, he's pretty much like a simple pick to have as well. But at the same time, maybe you should move to having 3 strikers, Haaland and 2 others, because there are some decent potential strikers coming up pretty soon in FPL. But yeah, we'll see about that. But yeah, like I said, we have a different starting goalkeeper, and that is still Mark Flekken. He keeps his place from last time. He drops down 2 spots from the previous week Wildcard draft because he conceded twice against Bournemouth, which is not the best. No goalkeeper has really looked that good this season, but Flekken is one of the players that a lot of managers have faith in, because Brentford historically have been a team that create a lot of, like I said with Areola, they force their opposition to take shots from outside the box, and that's perfect for the goalkeepers in FPL because they can make easy saves and get easy save points and potentially bonus points as well. So that's what I really like about Flekken. And yeah, I think Brentford are also a decent team. They can get a clean sheet against pretty much everyone. And yeah, they can concede against anyone as well. That's sort of like the thing with Brentford. They have a weird playing style, which is, not something that I'm going to get into too much in this video. But yeah, I still think Flekken is the best starting goalkeeper. But at the same time, there are no really outstanding goalkeepers quite yet. So yeah, he's my 14th pick. I'm not 100% sure about him, but yeah, he's the best you can pick so far, I feel like, as a goalkeeper. And then finally, we have a final defender, and we actually have a Luton defender because they have a double game week. That's pretty much why we have him. And I did think about Kabore, but he was benched last time around. I did think about Anderson, but he was benched 2 game weeks ago. Amari Bell I also thought about, but maybe he's the next one to be benched, because we've seen now Anderson being benched and Kabore being benched. Maybe Bell is the next one to be benched. But I think Giles is like the one proper left wing back that Luton have. And at the same time as him being like a sure starter for Luton, he's also their set piece taker, and he's going to be involved offensively. So I think he could be one of the, like, I don't know, I guess you could say jokers, or if that's even a term in English. Like he could be like one of those guys who gets a lot of points in the double game week that you didn't expect, because he's on set pieces. So if, for example, he crosses the ball on a free kick to Carlton Morris, who heads the ball in to the goal, and they get a clean sheet or something, and he gets bonus, maybe he gets a clean sheet in the other game as well, he could potentially be like a high scoring player in that game week as well. I think it's game week 7, yeah. So yeah, I think he's just like a safe, decent defender to have. He has some attacking threat if you, for some reason, need to play him, but at the same time, you could also just bench him pretty much every game week, because yeah, this squad has enough room in terms of money in the bank that pretty much anyone can get this team. I think it's around 100 million in value. I haven't checked that entirely, but yeah, I had like 0.8 in the bank, I think. So you should be able to afford this team, and Giles is a decent like final defender option. But at the same time, not 100% sure about wanting Luton players in the first place. I don't really know if Luton are going to be good at all, if they're going to be any good in FPL at all for points. So far they haven't been, but yeah, I kind of like the Giles Game Week 7 punt, so that's why I have him as my final pick. But yeah, as you can see, we have Cash, Giles, Salah, Diaby, Son, Morris, and Archer. That's 7 players that are new because they are marked with green. They are new from last time. That means 7 players have dropped out, and yeah, I just gotta run through all of them because there are some really good picks that have dropped out, and I should just talk about them. And starting from the top, we have Bukayo Saka, who's gone all the way from number 2 pick last time around because I felt like he was the best midfielder. He's dropped down a little bit now. He had 4 points against Man United, and yeah, he did actually look pretty good, but it's just a matter of like not having enough money, especially with Salah in the team. You don't have enough money for Saka, and I can't really justify Saka over Mbeumo, Son, or Maddison. And seeing as I don't have the money to get him over Diaby, he has to drop out, sadly, because Saka is still a really good player, but they do have tough fixtures. They have some simple-ish home fixtures or away fixtures, Arsenal, but Saka historically has been pretty poor away from home. He's been really good at home, and they could for sure score points at home against tougher teams like Man City and I think it's Spurs that they face. Yeah, Spurs and Man City they have coming up. Spurs and Man City they have coming up at home. He could score in those matches, but at the same time, those are difficult matches, and it's going to be harder to score. So yeah, Saka sadly had to drop out, mostly because of his price, because yeah, I think Son is just a better pick, and Son has basically just taken a spot really for that money because he has better fixtures, and yeah, Spurs are currently looking a bit more frisky offensively than Arsenal as well. Then we have Raheem Sterling, who I had really high hopes for last game week against Nottingham Forest. They blanked, obviously. He was really close to getting an assist, so that's why it's pretty like harsh to take him out of the squad. But I also have Nick Jackson taken out of the squad as well, because we were also hyped about Chelsea after they beat Luton 3-0, but as it turned out, Luton weren't the best side. That's probably what happened, really. But I think at the same time, we're kind of like overreacting in the other way now that Chelsea are such a bad team. So easy for me to say who has dropped both Sterling and Nick Jackson from this team. But yeah, I still think Sterling in particular is a really good pick to have still, especially this game against Bournemouth. He has really good historical numbers against Bournemouth. I think he's going to score this game week, but I don't know about Chelsea, and especially when we go to like game week 9 and stuff, when we have a fixture swing pretty much all around, you're not going to want to have too many Chelsea players at that point. So yeah, Sterling drops out. Basically, like I've said now with the midfielders, there are so many good midfielders, so it's not really anything against Sterling. I'm going to keep him in my own team. I brought him in for last game week, and I'm going to keep him for the next 3 or 4 game weeks at least myself. But seeing as there are so many other good midfielder picks, I can't really justify having him in my wildcard squad over all the other players that I have so far. Nick Jackson as well. I think he's been kind of unlucky, but at the same time, he's also been kind of poor offensively. Maybe he's getting dropped at some point. They don't really have any other striker options. Maybe Sterling plays as a striker, and that's going to potentially help his value as well. But I don't know. Nick Jackson, I probably wouldn't sell him if I just had him in my team. Maybe if Alvarez starts, maybe if Ferguson is back fit, maybe you want to move to someone like that. Maybe you want to go with Morris, who I have in my wildcard squad. But at the same time, I don't think it's that much between Jackson and Morris that I would probably use a valuable transfer to sell Jackson for Morris. But it's different when you're on the wildcard. You can do as many changes as you want. And currently, I just can't justify Jackson in my team because he hasn't really been performing so far. Alvarez is someone that has been performing, and he's also, it's really harsh that he's out of the team because he scored 14 points last time around, 2 assists and a goal for Man City. I still think Alvarez is a great pick. It's just this game week, not so sure about Alvarez starting, like I said, because he is playing in Bolivia and it's pretty far to travel. But if we get team news that Alvarez is starting and you're on a wild card, I would try to find a way to get Alvarez into your team because yeah, he's just a really good like fail safe to have. City have good fixtures, as you can see from the Haaland fixtures. West Ham away, Nottingham Forest home, and Wolves away. But after that, they have pretty tough fixtures. So yeah, for the long haul, I probably wouldn't have Alvarez. And if he's not going to start against West Ham, and there's still rotation issues potentially against Forest and Wolves because they have so many players and they have so many away games. Firstly, they have Wolves away, Arsenal away. They have away game in the Carabao Cup and an away game in the Champions League as well. So they have 4 away games in a row. So I think there's going to be a rotation there. So yeah, the rotation, and especially with him coming back late from international break, It's just making me just unsure enough about Alvarez to have him in the wildcard squad. But yeah, if he's confirmed to play against West Ham, I think you should get him in, because I think if he starts, he's going to get a lot of points. Bruno Fernandes, another midfield casualty. Like I said, really hard to differentiate between the midfielders, but I also, after picking Fernandes in the last wildcard squad, I was kind of regretful about that, because I don't know. It depends on Man United. Like, they have decent fixtures now, especially, and that's what I've been saying with Maddison. I think fixtures are more important for the talisman of the team, like Bruno Fernandes and Maddison, who need to be in matches where they have the most possession and have the most chances to get set pieces and penalties to be high value. So yeah, I think Fernandes is still a really good pick, but at the same time, I have to fit in Salah, and then having Son, Salah, and Fernandes, it's really hard to make a team like that work. So yeah, Bruno Fernandes had to drop out as well. Guardiola is much easier to drop out because he didn't start last game. So yeah, I'm not 100% sure about him. Not 100% sure about any City defender in general. So yeah, let's just move on from him. Easy to replace him with Cash, who's more offensive. He is also cheaper, and he's also more nailed. So yeah, I think Cash is just a better pick than Guardiola at the moment. And then Branthwaite, I still think he's the best 4.0 defender, but I also just wanted to have a Luton defender as well. So that's why at first I dropped him for Kabore, but then seeing as Kabore is kind of a rotation risk, I changed it to Giles since I had the money left. And yeah, that's pretty much it. But yeah, if you want to have a cheaper defender, if you want to get someone like Alvarez, then you could definitely downgrade Giles to Branthwaite and then have enough money to go from potentially Morris to Alvarez if Alvarez is starting this game week. But yeah, those are the players that are dropped out. These are the 15 players that I think is the best players for you to have these upcoming game weeks. Also, I gotta mention, I have no Newcastle players, and it's just the fact that I don't really like any other picks. I think Trippier is kind of too expensive to be in a squad like this, especially when you have Salah. And I'm not 100% sure about Trippier as well as an offensive option. He hasn't been the same in terms of bonus as he was this season. And yeah, I'm not 100% sure about Trippier, especially for the price that he is. He was super cheap last year, and that made him an easy pick. But now that he's 6.5, it's kind of a hard sell for me. And you could go with someone like Botman in defense, but I think Botman, he's just capped by the fact that he's not going to get any attacking returns. And I really just want to play with attacking return potential players in defense. And that's why, as you can see, all 5 defenders that I have could potentially get attacking returns. I'm kind of biased towards that, so yeah, I'm just going to stick with that. You could go with Fabian Schär for like 5.0. I think he's 4.9 now, actually. Fabian Schär. He has some more attacking threat, potentially. He actually underperformed his underlying numbers last season, so I think Schär is my favorite Newcastle defender pick. But at the same time, I don't know. I feel like Newcastle are just going to be clean sheet, and that's it. I don't think they're going to get many goals from their defenders. So yeah, that's why I'm kind of out on their defenders. And attacking-wise, they don't really have any standout options. They have Isak, who plays like 60 minutes and gets subbed off for Wilson. Who knows? Maybe Wilson gets to start the next game. You never really know. So until either Isak or Wilson gets injured, I don't really feel like picking either one of those guys. And it's the same with Anthony Gordon and Harvey Barnes as well. They're also competing for the same place. Sometimes Isak plays on the left as well. So there are not enough like nailed really good picks offensively. Almiron has looked terrible so far this season as well. Bruno Guimaraes, Tonali, Joe Linton, they don't really have enough attacking threat for me. So yeah, I'm just staying away from Newcastle so far. But if they start performing well, because they haven't looked the best either, and they have Champions League coming up as well, I don't know. I'm just not that sold on Newcastle in terms of FPL. So yeah, I'm staying away from them. But yeah, that's pretty much it for this whole wildcard squad. All the players that I have, all the players that have been dropped, and the Newcastle players. So yeah, I'm just gonna say thank you and goodbye, and I hope you subscribe to this YouTube channel. Trying to get to 1,000 subscribers pretty soon-ish, because I kind of want to see some growth on this channel, because honestly, I kind of need the motivation to keep doing this beyond this season as well. And I've said before that I kind of want to have, or I kind of made like a stupid proclamation that if I don't get 10k subs, or if I don't finish into the top 10k this season, I'm going to quit FPL. So yeah, please try to help me get to at least 1,000 subscribers at first, and potentially 10,000 eventually. But yeah, if you could subscribe, I'd very much appreciate that. And yeah, with that, I'm going to say goodbye. Thank you for watching, and see you next time.